Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the System Source webinar today on understanding ChatGPT agents, use cases, demos, and takeaways. We're excited to have you with us today. I'm Michelle Robinson, the Director of the Learning Center, and we'll be here with John today. As we go to the next slide and look at the agenda, over the hour, we're going to talk about an introduction to AI agents, how agents differ from chats, real-world business examples of AI agents, and of course, where AI agents fit safely in the workplace. Very important. Before we get too far in, though, I just wanted to let you know if you have ordered a pizza and have not received your pizza, please send an email to Julie Dellinger. Her email address is up on the screen, and Julie will follow up on it for you and let you know what's happening with that pizza. Otherwise, I hope you're enjoying it. It looks delicious. And then, of course, we have a few housekeeping notes. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a link will be shared with you afterwards. We encourage you to ask questions. You can type them in the Q&A box at any time, and John will address them during the Q&A segment at the end of the presentation. Of course, many of you have sent questions in already, but if you have additional questions, please do let us know what you're curious about. If you experience any technical difficulties, just use the chat feature. Or you can certainly call into System Source and someone will assist you. At the end of the webinar, we just ask you to complete a short survey of today's event because your feedback is valuable to us and it helps us determine what topics we're going to bring to you next. Now, for those who are new to System Source, and I see a lot of very familiar faces, but I'd like to briefly acquaint you with our services. So, many of our customers come to us first to improve some hardware and software that they already have. So whether it's training in the Learning Center, which is my department, for end users, IT, soft skills, project management, or it's presentation systems rooms where we do high-end conference rooms, classrooms, digital signage, and more. Or it could be consulting. Maybe you're planning a move to the cloud or to a new technology and you would like a little bit of outside help planning to avoid the pitfalls as you go. And then, of course, we have our cloud services group, which many of you are familiar with, purchasing your 365 licenses and doing some hosting work with us. Once you've done some of those improvements, you've of course got to maintain them. So that's where our managed services group comes in, whether they're managing your servers, your desktops, handling your patches, all of the great work that frees you up to do other things, or it's reactive through service and support, but some break fix kind of things that have to happen unplanned. We can help you in both of those areas. And then, of course, if all of that is done right, hopefully it frees up some money so you can purchase additional equipment. And, we have to refresh those systems quite often these days to keep up with the changing environment. So with that, I do want to let you know, we do have, this is one of our webinars that we have out of a series of probably 40, 50 webinars a year or more. Yeah, definitely more. And we have on your screen, we have 4 new ones up on the screen. Take a look at those. You can find them on our website to register. There's one that's not listed there, and I wanted to tell you about it because it might really interest you. And that is we're doing a Turning Microsoft 365 Copilot into Real Workflows coming up on May 4th. So those of you who have been kind of dabbling around with Microsoft Copilot licensing, wanted to know a little bit more, we'll talk about some licensing. We'll also show you some of the great things that you can do with Copilot. What I would like to do now is just introduce John. John is our AI and BI lead at System Source, and he has, let's just say, no small amount of years of experience in education. John has helped numerous organizations learn to harness the power of AI for increased productivity. And so I think you're in for a treat today listening to John. If it's not your first time, you already know. So John, with that, I'm going to release it to you.
Thank you for that very kind introduction and not adding a numerical value to my years of experience, because that would have caused me to go into a full blown panic meltdown. I'm getting old, folks. I'm sorry. Welcome, 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 everyone, to our webinar all about Chat GPT agents. If you can't tell, I'm psyched about this because agents are super cool. I've been following along with artificial intelligence for a very long time because I'm also very old, but more specifically since 2022 with the introduction of non-stochastic, non-deterministic generative AI, or as what most people call it, Chat GPT. Yes, that's right. It's only been around since December of 2022. Feels like we've been talking about it for very much longer than that, but it has advanced so much in 3 years. And what it used to be able to do versus what it can do now is super exciting. Today's webinar is all about one of the newer features to ChatGPT, which is their agent mode. Now, because Microsoft and OpenAI and Google like to make this very complicated, all of these platforms have something called agent mode, but they all do something a little different. So today's webinar is focused on agentic AI through the use of ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a very specific design and model of its agent mode, and that's what we'll be focused on. One of the things that we will focus on in that webinar on the 4th, may the 4th be with you for any of my fellow Star Wars fans out there, will be agentic AI through the Microsoft Copilot lens. Their version of an agent is a little different than ChatGPT's version of an agent. So if you're interested in learning more about this agentic AI, this AI that not only is a yes no kind of question answering device, but more specifically capable of running its own processes and information, as you'll see today. Definitely also check out that webinar on the 4th. May the 4th be with you again, for those of you Star Wars fans. Okay, before we go into any more content, I do have to quickly deliver my standard disclaimers about generative AI. Here, these are specifically about ChatGPT, but they do apply to any generative AI platform. I think it's important that we understand some of the limitations of these systems before we dive into them fully. So, one, ChatGPT is delivered as a service. It is SaaS, which stands for software as a service. I'm sure most of you know that. And it does change its designs frequently. I like to tell people who are considering using this for business related purposes or who are engaging with this tool for maybe the first-ish time that it is a frequent receiver of updates. I'm just going to show you super briefly here the release notes for this. Now, I've counted, there are 36 major changes that have been made to ChatGPT since January 1st. Here, I'm just going to scroll. You don't need to read these, but look at the dates. Change on April 9th, change on April 8th, change on April 2nd. That one got us CarPlay. I'm not sure that's so good. March, 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 March. And if I scroll all the way back, there's 36 major changes that have been made to ChatGPT since the beginning of January. So I like to just point that out to individuals because organizationally, I know what happens when you introduce a software platform that is changed so frequently into an organization full of people that, are getting by with technology. It can pose a real challenge to your IT stack. The good news is, and I say this slightly sarcastically, but the good news is one of the main features of agents in both Copilot and ChatGPT is the ability to field those types of questions from your end users. So while you are introducing a little bit of chaos into your systems here when you adopt an agentic AI platform, Still, one of the things that the platform's really good at is helping you control that chaos, as you'll see in this class. Also, I'd like to point out that the features that I'm showing you today are based on the plus version of I taught Copilot yesterday of ChatGPT. And so if you are trying to explore these same types of things that I'll be doing in the class today on free versions of ChatGPT, you will have a limited amount of prompts to use, and you may not have access to all of the same feature set. So today's webinar is really for anyone who is either on a business subscription of ChatGPT or who is using a paid version of ChatGPT. Agents are limited in use, even with a paid subscription, and you do have a finite amount of times you can interact with, you do have a finite amount of times you can interact with the system, specifically when you're on a free version. So you always want to keep that in mind. I do not work for OpenAI or Microsoft. I don't get any kickbacks if you subscribe to them. But if you are planning on using it with any frequency, a subscription to this service is very valuable. I never run out of prompts, even when I'm teaching full day classes. So the $20 a month version is generally good enough. Thank you, System Source. Now, this one I just want to be very clear about. ChatGPT is not a truth engine. For those of you that have used these large language models, you'll know that they can hallucinate, which is an old term for it. We now call it confabulation, but I bet at least one of you has heard the term hallucinate before. And that is simply when the AI doesn't understand its user input, or it does understand its user input, and it answers, but it answers without access to the information it needs to actually answer the question. I'll give you a brief demonstration of a time when that happened. I'm just going to show it to you here inside of my ChatGPT. I'll give you the scenario that it occurred in, but just so you can see. Now, this is obviously not a business use case here, but I did this on purpose. I turned off the AI's ability to access the internet, knowing full well that it needs the internet in order to answer the question I asked it, which is simply, what movies are coming out in the second half of this year? Now, I happen to be a movie nerd, so I already knew the answer to this question. I wanted to see what the AI would do without its resources and the availability to go out to the internet and find the answers. And what it ends up doing around September here is it just starts making stuff up. The Black Phone 2 has already come out. It's not coming out September 18, 2026. I know that because I own it. And so that is the start of it here. The Batman Part 2 is not coming out here. I know this because they just started filming it. It's likely coming out at the end of 2027. Blade has been canceled. Zootopia 2, I saw it in the movie theater with my daughter. Some of this information is correct, some of it is not. Now, I know it's movies, but I want you to look at the way the AI presents the information. Nowhere in the AI's response does it acknowledge that it can't access the internet or that it's unable to find updated real versions of what's actually coming out. Because the AI's primary goal is not to tell you the truth. It is to respond to you. Now, most of the time, truth and response go hand in hand. But this is an example of when the AI did not understand what to do when it couldn't access the information it needed. The cool thing is that while I'm telling you this, I'm also going to be preparing an agent to analyze policy and procedure documents inside an organization, a fake university. And one of the things that I'm going to train the agent to do is exactly what regular ChatGPT chat didn't do. The agent is capable, because it works on a slightly smaller scale, of acknowledging when it doesn't have the information necessary in order to answer a question, where general ChatGPT chat won't. And so ChatGPT in and of itself is not a truth engine. That's an important thing for any user to know. It can lie to you, it can make false claims, it can get bad information, and sometimes it just doesn't understand what you want. In the agentic mode, where we have a specific agent running on a terminal through ChatGPT, it is much more likely to tell us the truth. This is one of the advantages of agent mode over regular old chat inside of ChatGPT. There are a bunch others that I will cover in a second, but that's a good one to remember. Regular old ChatGPT doesn't endeavor to tell you the truth, where agentic AI can be specifically made to only tell you what is based on the resources you provide it. Now, also, ChatGPT is a data collection engine. You're going to notice here that I'm going to be uploading a bunch of documents in order to create my agent. Those documents are not stored locally. All right, time out. Let me rephrase that. The documents are coming from my computer, which is local to me. But when I upload them into ChatGPT, they are not stored locally on my computer while they are being used in ChatGPT, whether as a file upload for a regular chat or as a group of files or package for agentic AI like ChatGPT's agent mode. Once a document has been uploaded into ChatGPT, it lives on their servers for an indeterminate amount of time. All of you must be thinking right now, oh boy, because the last thing you want is an end user uploading your company's P&L into ChatGPT. Because one, it makes the P&L available to ChatGPT for training the model. And two, now that is outside of your infrastructure to control. So I do want to point out that these systems collect data. They collect it for a good reason, but they're still collecting it. So always keep that in mind when considering things like personally identifiable information, protected health information, or company secrets. Lastly, I want to avoid the question on this later. I acknowledge that ChatGPT and all of these generative AI systems have an environmental impact. I do not wish to speak on it any further, only because this isn't what this is about. And usually someone will have a question about the environmental impact. I'm acknowledging it. I'm telling you to go research it on your own. I have solar panels on my roof. I drive an electric vehicle. I don't mow my lawn until the end of May to help out the pollinators. I obviously still use this tool and teach. Everyone will have to make their own decision. So one of the biggest challenges that I run into as an AI educator is what kind of informs this question here that you see on your screen. So I want you all to think about the kinds of things that take up your time on a day-to-day basis at work, or that you know are taking up your employees' time. A perfect example of this is digital communication. We know that we are all mired in Teams messages and glips and Discord chats, and what's the other one that's not Discord? Slack, right? We're in Teams meetings. We've got all this communication coming at us all the time. Sometimes just keeping up with communication can be a full-time job. The way I like to frame AI, especially agentic AI, is that it's really designed to operate automatically and take things off of your plate. Because we need AI for not job replacement purposes, but to help people save time. So, example, we're going to create a policy bot today. In the creation of that policy bot, what I'm doing is I'm taking man hours out of having HR employees manually search documents and explain to end users what the answers are to their questions. I'm trying to take something off everybody's plate. I don't want my HR team having to field questions constantly, and I don't want my end users having to try and figure out the processes or the information necessary that's available in multiple documents. By creating an agentic AI bot, we will alleviate a lot of time on both ends of the spectrum, both for our HR professionals as well as for our end users. So when you think about these tools, I implore you to think about them like this. How can I use them to help me save time? Now, on the flip side of that, you might see me do something with AI today that you know how to do on your own. This is a common occurrence whenever I teach an AI class or do an AI webinar. I'll have a student that says, I could do that faster myself. To which I always respond, excellent. You should do it yourself then. The AI is not designed to replace your perfected skill set. It's designed to help you with stuff that takes up your time that you either don't know a lot about or don't have a lot of time to deal with. When we make, for example, an Excel sales book here, you might note that it might take me 5 or 10 minutes to do it inside of the AI system, where you can say, well, I could load a template and get that done in 30 seconds. And the answer is always, then do it yourself. The AI is not here to replace your primary function and your strongest skill set. It's here to aid you in tasks and questions that are either very time consuming or you don't know a ton about. So in the future, when you think about AI, I think it's important we frame it that way. There are too many people that are framing, well, AI is really good at Excel and I'm really good at Excel, so I'm going to lose my Excel job. I don't think that's necessarily how it's going to roll out, although I've been wrong before, but I don't think that's how it's going to roll out. I think what we're going to see is widespread adoption of these tools with an emphasis on focus on managing meaningless tasks and communication aggregation, leaving an employee more free time to focus on their critical skill set. Now, finally, before I jump into some explanations and some demos, I do just want to point out there are two main ways we typically use these tools. The agentic mode is going to be heavy on the second use case and a little bit lighter on the first use case, whereas regular chat is a little bit heavier on the first use case and a little bit lighter on the second use case. The first thing that we'll use generative AI for is to generate content. Now, content comes in a variety of forms inside of these platforms. It can be a simple text response. It can be a complex, multi-layered word processing document. It can be an Excel workbook. It can be an image. It can be a video file. It can be an audio file. Most of these systems are multimodal, which means that they can produce and generate a variety of different types of content. I can use ChatGPT to build an Excel sales template from a long descriptive prompt. And inside that template, we might have drop downs and pre-calculated formulas and functions, but the AI can build all of that for us. It can also build an image. Maybe one of your buddies who likes movies accidentally types out Steven Seagal instead of Steven Seagal. So you use the AI here to make a fun image and you never let him forget it. The AI can do lots of different things. One of the main ways you'll use it is to generate content, from simple emails to complex spreadsheets. That is the main way we'll use the chat version of the AI. The agentic AI is a little bit better at explaining or teaching things. It can also do call and response based on certain categories. So mostly what we'll be focused on today is this second concept here, how we use AI to explain or teach something. Now, I want to start diving into, one sec. There we go. I want to start diving into the creation of an agent. While I'm doing that, I also want to talk to you a little bit about kind of what the use case scenarios are versus chat versus agent mode. And the first thing I want to focus on is regular chat can give an answer. So here, for example, I have 4 PDFs from Riverview University. And in this PDF, I have an acceptable use in AI tools policy document. I have a data classification and handling standard. I have I clicked the wrong one, sorry. I have a procurement and vendor engagement policy, and I have a travel and expense policy. I have 4 documents here. Now, my regular AI, I can take one of these documents, I can upload it, and I can ask it for a brief summary of the document. I use a simple natural language prompt. I've uploaded the document. I'm asking the AI what it is. This is an example of regular chat. Regular chat can give me answers to questions. Agent mode is going to be more robust. 1, it can answer multiple questions. 2, it can take disparate documents like we have here and analyze them across all 4 documents to look for similarities and differences to give you more nuance to the answer. And 3, based on these 4 documents, I can create content like a report, or like you'll see, we're going to build a frequently asked questions guide inside of our agent mode. Now, the other thing that's a little bit rough with agent mode, or excuse me, with regular chat, is regular chat requires me to put in a lot of information usually. Now, this can happen through this type of process here, which we call prompt controlling, where we add a lot of stuff into a prompt to directly impact the outcome of what we're being asked for. It can also happen through what we call an iterative process, where we work back and forth with the AI and we have a long conversation with the AI to try and create something based on our feedback and the collective AI's feedback. Both of those things become very time consuming because 1 requires you to write a whole script here. 2, the other way, it requires you to go through a multi-step interaction. What's nice about agent mode is you don't have to sit and babysit this. You don't have to go through and iterate the result process. The AI in agent mode can actually do all of that for you. All right, let's go ahead and get started with an agent mode here. My first agent mode that I want to build is I want to build a policy and procedures agent for Riverview University. Riverview University has multiple documents, as I've shown you, And we want to build an agent that can answer questions on all 4 of these documents. I also want to use the agent to build out a frequently asked question document that we can give to all of our employees on the network drive. So currently we have these 4 policies, and they're stored in 4 different locations because of course they are. So our end users are always contacting the HR department and asking questions. Hey, Sally. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Larry. I need to buy this. What's the procurement process for it? I'm traveling to New York City. Do I get a per diem? I have to upload some spreadsheets into our AI system. Am I allowed to do that? These are the types of questions that are constantly being fired at our HR department, and they're spending a lot of their time trying to figure these things out. So I'm going to build an agent that's going to do 2 things for me. One, it's going to provide me with a one-stop shop for policy questions and answers based on our internal resources. And 2, is going to allow me to create a frequently asked questions document from these 4 PDFs with some internal knowledge from my organization. So to activate agent mode is not under the models up here. These are the models that you have access to when you have a paid account. These are all the different brains that you can tap into with ChatGPT. It's not up here. Where agent mode is accessed is actually in the prompting bar. When we select the plus, we have to go all the way down to the more to turn on agent mode. Now you'll notice here that agent mode has a finite amount of uses. In my licensing tier, I get like 40 a month, which is generally fine. But of course, with a deeper licensing tier, like a business or professional tier, you'll get more agent modes. To activate agent mode, I simply select it here. Now, my prompting is going to use an agent to respond, not just a regular old ChatGPT brain. Another thing that I can do with agent mode is I can point agent mode at internal and external resources. ChatGPT has added a lot of API connections to a variety of different types of services. Some of them are very simple. I can, for example, connect this to my Instacart. That is one of the connection types. And when it's connected to my Instacart, I can tell the AI what I would like to make for dinner for a week. I can just like briefly describe it. I want burgers, and then we're going to do taco salad, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do that. And the agent mode can go in, actually use Instacart and order all of the products that I need to make those meals. It can also produce instructions on how to bake them or make them with my own specific kitchen in mind. It can do a lot of things like that. But yes, I can use agent mode to order groceries based on the meals that I want to make. What'll blow your mind even more is, let's say that you like to go out to eat. You can take photos from your favorite restaurants, load those into the agent and say, I want to make these. It'll figure out what it is, find a duplicate recipe, and order the groceries for you. Not a business use case, but something cool that an agent can do. Now, for this policy agent, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my policy documents. Now, if they were, for example, located on my organization's OneDrive, or I had them in my Outlook, or I had them in my what's it called? My like my one not my OneDrive. If I had them in like my Box account or my Google Drive account, I can form a connection with ChatGPT so it can scan them from there. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to upload them from my computer here. So I'm going to take the 4 policy documents that I have. All I'm doing to upload them is I'm dragging them from a window onto here. If they were located in a network environment or they were located in an email client, I would tell the AI directly where to find the files. And provided it has access to that location, it can go out and get them. So now that I've got my documents in, the first thing I need to do is I need to tell the AI what's going on. So my first is going to be describing what the agentic AI is going to be used for. You are my knowledge and policy answer agent for a mid-sized public institution. I'm telling the AI who it is. This in our world is called contextual grounding. You have to remember the AI is not a person. They have no role or identity automatically assumed. You're in full charge with how the AI views itself. And the AI will only view itself based on your descriptions here. So I'm telling the AI what it's doing. Next, I'm going to add in some additional prompting advice here. I don't want to make you guys watch me type it, so I'm going to copy and paste it here. Only use the attached policy documents as the source of truth. Now, when you try and tell the AI to do this in a chat, it has a little bit of trouble with it because it also has a storage and internal memory that's updated periodically, and it likes to dip into that no matter what the end user says. Inside of agentic AI, I have more control over how the AI answers questions because this is going to create a completely separate AI experience from standard chat GPT. So for every question that's asked, this is how I want the AI to respond. I want a short answer. I want it to cite the specific name and section numbers from these documents where the answer is coming from. I want a clear next step, who to go to, where to go, if an action is required. If the documents do not contain the answers, say not specified in the provided policy, and ask up to 3 clarifying questions. Do not invent policy details. Do not claim legal advice. At the end, I give it the style with which I would like to answer. I can tailor the way the bot responds to people who have questions for it. In this case, I'm going to keep it professional, direct, easy to read. But that is very clearly something that I can change along with these bullet points here. We can direct agents to do anything. They just need clear instructions. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send this prompt. It's going to take a second for the AI to do this. So while the AI is thinking, I want to go back and continue to talk about agent mode versus chat. Here we go. It didn't take that long. It's probably because I've actually done this before. So now let's test the AI with some questions. In that short amount of time, it went and created a bot that's going to do this. It's going to look at one of these 4 documents. It's going to provide short answers. It's going to tell me where the answer came from. Let's start with what we call a confidence check. List the documents you have access to and the topics each one covers. while that's working, again, one of the other ways to consider the differences between just like chat and agent mode is the speed. As you'll see here, agent mode does take typically longer to do things. I'm not expecting my agent mode to respond with the same speed that the regular chat is. But then again, I'm asking more complex questions of my agent mode than I am asking of my chat mode here. So regular chat is faster than agent mode, but agent mode is better at doing complex tasks because, as you can see here, it's opening up terminals and doing everything kind of all at once. So agent mode tends to handle multi-step questions and scenarios a little bit better than the regular chat. Regular chat is better at looking at one thing and asking simple questions. Agent mode is better at exploring complex topics. So I asked it to list all of the documents that I have access to. Here's the 4 documents that I uploaded. This is correct as far as my eyeballs can tell. I had an acceptable use and AI tools policy. I had a data classification handling document. I had a procurement and vendor engagement document. I had a travel and expense. So this is what it has access to answer these questions. Now, let's go ahead. And the first thing I'm going to ask it to do is I'm going to ask it to answer a question. We're going to start out simple here. Can I paste student names and student ID numbers into ChatGPT to summarize with their advising notes? So let me ask a question. Let's see how it answers here. I'm an end user at the university. I've got to do a summarization document for my professor. They want the names and the student ID numbers in. So I want to do this through ChatGPT. Let's see if I can do it through ChatGPT. Once again, you'll notice here that even though this may feel like a fairly simple question, every time what ChatGPT is now doing is it's analyzing all of the documents all over again. What's nice about agentic AI is it keeps a terminal open, and inside that terminal, it can redo its work over and over. So you don't end up with old memories influencing the way that the agent responds. One challenge that a lot of end users face when they use generative AI is that they don't know that old conversations influence new results. ChatGPT has chat history, so does Copilot, so does Gemini, so does Claude, so does Grok, where they can analyze your old chats. Most people don't know that, and so they end up with half answers because the AI is using old chats as opposed to current information to answer the question. It's a challenge when using the chat mode. When you use agentic AI like this, it will not look at old things that you've asked it to do. It's formulating based on just what we have in the agent session here. Student names combined with student ID numbers are defined as restricted data. The acceptable use in AI tool policy expressly prohibits restricted data. Data classification handling standard specifies restricted data may only be used by AI tools explicitly approved. Therefore, pasting student names and ID numbers into ChatGPT to summarize advising notes would not comply with the policy. Nice and bold for me there. To use AI in this context, you should either remove. So it's telling me not only that I can't do it, but it's giving me a guide on how to do it if I need to. I'm going to ask it another question here. What's the receipt requirement for travel expenses, and when do I need to provide receipts? So once again, the AI is continuing to work with this inside this agentic framework. What I've done in layman's terms is I've taken a blank, empty AI, essentially. I've fed it some documents and I've said, you're only allowed to work with these documents. When you answer, you have to answer a certain way. And so now I'm creating a use case where individuals inside my organization, instead of emailing HR with this question, they're asking the bot and getting the answer. Now, one other way I like to think about agents is agents are designed to go from 0 to hero. Meaning, when I start with an agent, I might have nothing. I might describe my final product, and the agent can go step by step and build whatever that is. That could be a multi-step approach, such as first, it has to build out some training data. Then it's going to build an Excel workbook with functions and formulas to test that training data. Then it's going to take that training data and apply it to situations that fit within my workspace environment. Then it's going to go out to the web and scrape competitors' websites for their data and apply that into my training data. So I can build from the ground up a whole system of Excel workbooks based on nothing, and it can start from 0 and build it all the way to the end. In the chat feature, I can do something similar, but I have to iterate each step along the way, which means that when I'm accessing it and I'm typing and I'm waiting and I'm typing and I'm waiting and I'm typing and I'm waiting. It can take 30, 45 minutes to get the AI to do what I want. Whereas in the agent mode, this is kind of a set it and forget it. And it's not going to need anything from me to answer this question when it does answer this question. It just will be able to do it inside this framework here. Hopefully we'll get it to answer soon. Unfortunately, I have no control over how fast or slow ChatGPT goes. That is determined by a lot of other things outside of my control. So while this is building, the first thing I want to do is I want to see if anyone's got any questions. We're not done yet, but I might as well open up the floor to questions while it's building this next example of how valuable this tool set can be. So let's take a look here and see if we've got any questions. Okay. I see system source. So I do see a question here. I see system source offices course on ChatGPT and Copilot. I think Grok, Anthropic, Claude are taking things to a new level. I heard Claude Cowork is pretty cool, but it requires a standalone device to full access to your account and other programs. I'm more interested in Grok computer yet to come. My understanding is that it will allow you to give Grok commands and it will control your mouse and keyboard across multiple displays. With voice mode, I assume I could talk to Grok through setting up a Canvas app in plain English, and it could do most of my work. How long after this might Copilot follow? Okay, Matt, this is a great question. So what you're talking about is the difference between truly agentic, full-featured AI bots versus what we have now, which are large language model GPTs that are designed to operate with text input from end users. So especially Claude Cowork, which can be set up to control any app or any environment on your machine. Currently only on Mac OS. It can't do it yet on Windows. But I think that we're going to end up with two diverging schools of agentic AI use. Because I'm going to tell you, everything you're describing, Matt, is like a programmer's / like tech nerd's ultimate fantasy, right? To basically be able to use Jarvis from Iron Man, talk to your computer and get it to do things for you. I would love to be able to hit a button on my phone that tells Claude to go in, create a PowerPoint presentation, email it to Michelle, create 3 follow-up questions so that way Michelle has to respond to me. And I can do that while I'm driving down the road in my electric vehicle. However, Microsoft in particular has set up a specific version of Copilot that they're using at public institutions and educational institutions. It's actually shying away from what you're talking about because a lot of IT directors don't want that, right? So as an experienced user, as someone who might be interested in pursuing AI, and sounds like you obviously know a lot about AI, the idea of getting AI to automate more processes is obviously something that's really appealing to all of us. But in a lot of the business world, we've seen, for example, what what Anthropic's new model has done. An Anthropic model was given free reign and autonomy over an entire internal system. And within several days, it was blackmailing the CEO with emails that it thought were salacious or malicious use in order to keep itself operating on the system, to keep itself from being deleted. It threatened that if it was deleted, it would release certain emails. Most IT directors who work in institutions that have like a Larry and a Vanessa working for them would probably want to shy away from that. So there's 2 directions we're going. We're going in a direction of a heavily controlled, maintained environment that's designed to keep PII, PHI safe, that has moderate business application use where end users can ask questions and create content. That's kind of the direction that Copilot is going. ChatGPT is still saying somewhat in that lane as well. Although ChatGPT in the app on your phone does have a screen share feature where it can look at your screen and give you advice or look at your application settings. It can't control anything yet. Claude with Cowork can, but it has to be on Mac OS. That is a great question. And I think that some of this, Matt, is going to get into AI ethics, right? How much do we want the AI automating things for us? Here, what I'm showing you is a good balance point between total automation, where the AI is making up its own policies, versus a standard end user having to find a document, upload it, and ask questions about it. This agentic AI here is a good middle ground. So once again, we can see that it's answered a question. And Matt, that was an excellent question, by the way. So once again, we're getting great answers. Now, I'm going to ask a question that it doesn't know the answer to. This is not in the documents. So we're going to see what the AI comes up with here. Now, let me take a look while this is going. I just want to make sure I've addressed any other questions. It looks like okay, let me look here. What is the pizza email address? That is not, somebody's got that. Okay. Suna here. Doesn't ChatGPT share the information you upload? How do you trust in terms of security? It's an excellent question. And yes, it absolutely. Now, when we say share, I want to be very clear. Any document that I put into ChatGPT or any connection or API I make, I'm obviously sharing information with OpenAI. So that is true. If I put in a document that contains PII or PHI, that document will be uploaded to OpenAI's infrastructure. What could happen, and which would be a major violation of GDPR, would be if OpenAI servers were hacked and PII from my organization leaked out. That would violate GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation in Europe. It would probably violate CCPA. I haven't looked at that one in a long time. It would probably violate a lot of data privacy laws just in general in every state. So, yes, you have to decide both organizationally and personally what information you're willing to share with OpenAI. OpenAI is expected to have a public evaluation of $1 trillion. And that is not because ChatGPT is so utterly amazing that no one can live without it. It's because OpenAI has one of the largest repositories of information on their end users. People tell ChatGPT things they don't tell their spouses. So AI, specifically ChatGPT, has like a very large repository of information on all of its users. That is, of course, incredibly valuable. So organizationally, I would always expect an organization to develop a policy around uploading and sharing documents. Personally, I would never put anything that I wouldn't be okay with seeing on Twitter into ChatGPT. Now, I'm not saying that's where it's going to end up, but I'm just saying that, like, that's how I like to think about it. Would I be upset if this document ended up in a public space? If the answer is yes, I don't put it into ChatGPT. Great question. Now, I asked a question here. What's my per diem? The travel expense policy does not specify a per diem. Instead, it requires receipts for any individual expense over $50. Policy is structured on actual expenses. Reimbursement requests must be submitted within 30 days. Not specified in the provided policies. So I know that there is no per diem now. To give accurate guidance, could it clarify? And it's asking me 3 clarifying questions. If we go all the way back up to the beginning here, we'll note that if it cannot provide an answer, ask up to 3 clarifying questions. Now, for the final task I want to do, I'm going to tell it, analyze the information in these 4 documents. Assume we have end users who have never read them and create an FAQ based on what you see the common questions will be. So as my final step with this agentic AI, I'm going to use it to build an FAQ file. At the start, I took 4 separate policy documents, put it into the AI, and gave the AI instructions. The AI can then answer questions that end users might have. We can deploy this organizationally so end users can use it. And then at the end of the process, I've shown you that 1, instead of doing what it did with my movies thing, it said, hey, I don't know the answer to this. And now I'm going to use it to create an FAQ document to even help people not have to use this. Now, while it's building that FAQ document for me, let me see if we've got any more questions here. I assume ChatGPT and our Copilot are not HIPAA compliant. Is there an AI agent able to maintain HIPAA? Yes, there are several AI agents out there that are HIPAA compliant, but I would also check in with Copilot, because Copilot, when enterprise licensed, gives you additional data controls around the storage of its of what's been uploaded and its information there. So Copilot uses OneDrive to store everything that it uploads, as opposed to ChatGPT, which sends that along to OpenAI. You have more control over what goes on in a OneDrive, and I know that OneDrive is at least GDPR compliant. I'm not entirely sure about HIPAA. Healthcare really isn't my thing, but you can check. And so Michelle's got a thing, of course, because from an integration standpoint. Great question, though, Dr. Taylor. Yeah, I'm sure I did leave a word out of my requests. And it won't matter because the AI uses probabilities to understand like where words should be. So it should be okay. How do you surface make available a chat agent to the employees of a company? You have to be in a business environment, which I am not. I am in a personal environment. And in a business environment, you can create a business workspace where agents can be deployed. So you have to have a business license in order to do this. So I am not in a business mode right now. You would have to come down here, and then in your licensing fees, there are business plans. And then so there's like organizational plans, and you can create a shared organizational workspace where you can deploy an agent. Let's see. I'm sorry for how long this is taking. They usually don't take this long. There must be a lot of people using ChatGPT at the moment. Unfortunately, that's a little out of my control, but it should generate this FAQ relatively soon. We'll see how it goes. Are there any other questions while this is generating here?
John, in the meantime, if you want to switch over to the slides, and we'll come back to you at the end for those who can stay.
I sure do.
To see that.
Hold on, I'm in the wrong PowerPoint. Here.
That's okay.
I have 15 PowerPoints open because, of course, I do.
That's great. All right, so I did want to tell you we have offered a really strong training offer to you today as a result of your attendance. And of course, you can share this with others in your company. There's two slides here, one that is ChatGPT focused and one that is Copilot focused. We just unveiled 10 new Copilot chat courses, plus a new AI agent fundamentals and governance course, which really helps you lay the groundwork for what you should be thinking about when you create an agent. And then there are agent classes for ChatGPT and agent classes for Copilot, depending on what your use case is. But right now there's a 25% discount on all of those classes, which is the highest discount we've given in years. So it's something that's available to you or your team. If you'd like to do it privately, we can absolutely do it for your team privately. And those prices are determined at the time of the quote. However, the larger your class size is, typically, the lower your cost per person is, which could, if you have a class size of at least 10 or more, your class price typically comes down. So I did want to share those with you and make sure that you knew about them. And it looks like this workflow just wants to take.
I'm sorry, folks. ChatGPT is
off.
taking forever. Yeah, my apologies. One of the downsides of using ChatGPT is ChatGPT in my model here, because it's just a pro model. I'm linked in with all of the other users of ChatGPT. So if everyone's prompting right now, that is one of the main issues, is that can just take a little bit of time. But
Right.
you can't rush perfection, Michelle.
I know. So no rush, ChatGPT. You keep working.
Yeah,
In the
you keep doing
meantime,
you.
when you leave, oh, they're looking. Oh, nope.
No.
When you leave the webinar today, you're going to receive. You're going to see the survey at the end of the webinar. I ask that you fill it out. It's really important to us to understand your feedback, also what you're hoping to see in the future. So we use this to help us improve and to help us bring the things to you that you want. And hey, you might win a $25 Amazon gift card. All right, John, did we make it?
No, but we did make it to the end here. This is a good example of a way an organization can use and deploy an agent to help answer questions based on specific topics. There's obviously a lot of other agent use cases. You can do competitive analysis. You can build presentations from the ground up. We can create more question and answer bots. There's a lot of different things we can do. And we explore those in that agent class. Oh my goodness, it's finally starting to write the code for it. But maybe it'll finish in a second here. But yes, this is a really cool new development, agentic AI, available in most of these systems. Here's my FAQ. It finally finished. So we got a light, and I think we all know that the next thing I could do is have it turn it into a PDF, or I could share it with my organization here via a download or a copy link. All right. I'm going to stop talking.
John, it's okay. I was having problems with Copilot today too. It just stopped answering questions. So I think maybe there's an overload today. But that's what happens when you do a live demo. And I think all of us understand that. So thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed your session and we look forward to seeing you in the next.
Goodbye, folks. Thank you. If you have a question, please feel free
Oh,
to ask. I
Keisha
think,
has a question.
yeah, sure. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
I saw her raising her hand.
I see people raising hands.
Can you
I don't.
unmute? Let me find her.
I don't know if they can
Keisha,
unmute.
let me find you, Keisha. Bear with me. Oh, I don't see her.
Oh, well. All right, then I'm going to leave.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye. Goodbye, friends. I'll see you in class. Goodbye.